You are here with By the Cover. Today we're going to be reviewing Red Rabbit by Alex Grecian. This book was 454 pages and took me 3 days to read. I would rate this book a 5 out of 10. First, my likes with the book. It was a fairly imaginative story with interesting supernatural elements. I thought the way that death was handled in this book was very interesting. I absolutely loved the jailhouse chapter with our introduction to Charlie. It had some absolutely killer humor in it. I love the Ubel chapters. The first one with Ubel chatting with Duff in town, and the follow-up chapter where he meets Sadie. I also loved the haunted forest scene. This author, I thought, did a great job on constructing a lot of these scenes that I've mentioned. On to my dislikes of the book, and there were quite a few. My biggest issue with this book is the lack of appropriate tone for a given situation. And I'll give you an example. Let's say you're in a room having a casual conversation with your friend over coffee. That is a much different situation than you're in a room with a murderer who's about to take out your entire family and torture them in front of you and laugh while he does it. Now, you would think that between those situations, you'd have a bit different reaction, a bit different tone towards the situation. In this book, there is absolutely zero difference between the two. Everything in this book is a casual conversation. For example, the bad guy will shoot somebody that's very close with a certain character, and the character will go, "Geez, what'd you go and do that for? You shot Ned. I really wish you wouldn't have done that, mister. That's a bad thing to be doing. I guess I'm gonna have to shoot you now." Or you'll meet somebody who, a bad guy has killed somebody they know earlier in the book, and that person will be like, "Well, I'm gonna have to kill you now, 'cause you shot my friend." And the other person would be like, "Well, sorry I shot your friend, but that's just the way we is." It's just constant stuff like that. Everything's a casual conversation. There's no big emotions in anything. Things are just happening, and everyone's just okay with all sorts of supernatural beings terrorizing them and taking them out, killing their friends and killing their family, and there's just no tone shift in anything. Because there's lack of caring for any of these events, really, it makes me not care what happens to these characters. It makes me not really care about the outcome. That was my biggest dislike of this book. Lots of casual conversations through absolutely batshit crazy and horrible, horrific events. Another thing that I thought the author did that was very off-putting was that he handled certain things with emphasis as far as giving a whole bunch of details on them, and then he would skip over other things that any other writer would have gone into detail about. For example, if you kill somebody and they're about to hang your friend, you would think you would get more than 2 sentences of, "I shot the guy that was hung my friend and I cut my friend down." Like, there's no description in that. It's just boom, boom. And then other things, he'll go into details about them like, "I just don't care." And a lot of the violent situations were like that. It was just like, I shot him dead, he was dead, we moved on. It's like, where's the buildup? Where's the anticipation? Where's the explosive action? Who knows? I didn't hate the characters that were in this book, but they weren't great. So it's not really a dislike. I just thought, I didn't mind being along the journey with a lot of them. I thought some of them were not that necessary to the story, some of the side characters, but none of them were absolutely killer characters that I couldn't do without. And while I did say that the way they handled death was interesting, really it kills any stakes in the story that could be had, because when people die, they don't really die. They just have a new set of rules to play by, and they continue on. So why would I care if any of these characters die? Because they're not really going to die. They just continue on in the story. So by that logic, I don't care if the kid dies, I don't care if the witch dies, I don't care if anyone in the posse dies, and I really don't care if the bad guys die. Who cares? I thought the reveal of Rabbit's character happened way too late in the book. It was like 80% of the way through the book. And I'll be honest with you, I cared about Rabbit's character the least throughout this book because she just was not interesting. I liked the last chapter of the book just because it was kind of a feel-good ending, but I really didn't like the ending as far as, what happened to everybody. Overall, I thought it was an interesting book. There were some strong parts in it, but there are just a lot of negatives. It was a pretty big disappointment. I was really looking forward to this. As far as being a horror Western. I don't see the horror aspects because there was no tension really built up. It was more like a supernatural Western, and I didn't think it was executed very well at all. But it did have enough interesting ideas to keep me turning the pages because I wanted to see what happened in the end. Overall, pretty big letdown on this one. The brilliant parts kind of balanced out the crappy parts. It was entertaining at certain times, and I do think it was worth the read overall, but it wasn't a great book. So that's about it. We'll catch you later.